Now that you've sent out your evaluations to your educators and your students have it available on their eval summary, you'll want to go ahead and take a look at those evaluations as they start to come in. So for that, you're going to go to Placements by Session. Go ahead and find that session that you're working with and go to Post Placement. Then from here, we have the evaluation summary. And this first page is just going to give you a little bit of details about the forms here. You can see all of the evaluations that you have available for this session. If you want to take a preview at what a sample of each of these looks like, if you forget what you've called them or what have you, you can click on the eyeball to look at the preview and you can see how many people these apply to, how many have been submitted so far, how many have been reviewed, how many are not submitted. You do have the ability to put a publish date and due date in here. So this publish date is the date that the students can see the evaluation. So if this is an evaluation completed by your students, really important to have that publish date set so that they can fill it out. If it's an evaluation completed by my educators, maybe I want to take a look at those first and have it visible to them at some point later. And then the due date for submission here is your date that the person filling out the evaluation needs to submit it by. If you do want to put in a due date here, whatever that might be, you do have the option here to decide if you want the evaluator to be able to submit the form after the due date. I would really encourage you to go ahead and turn this on. It's going to be kind of a pain for you if it's not on and people are missing the deadline, particularly if it's an evaluation that's filled out by the educator. You absolutely have to get that in anyway. The due date can kind of just be up there for them as a suggestion. Once you've filled that out, you're going to want to go ahead and save. And then you have some other items you could take a look at here if you need to. If you need to export these to Excel or anything like that, you absolutely can. And then a really nice feature we have here is this orange report button. So if I want to see all of my students, how all of my students have been doing for that midterm FWPE, I can take a look here and I can see for each question, what types of responses have my students been getting. So here's kind of going to show me I have one student getting a 3, one student getting a 4, and then maybe down here I have, again, one getting a 3, one getting a 4. Here I got 2 of them getting a 3, and so on. So I can kind of see, if I'm getting a lot of students really strong in one area, that's really great for me to see that. Or, if any of them are getting, a lot of them are unsatisfactory in one area, maybe I know that's an area that, a lot of my students are struggling in and I really need to work on that with them. All right, so that one just opened up in a new tab here. Then we have this summary section. This is where you can really see all of the results of the evaluations. You see it's all color-coded up here. There's a lot of explanation here for you. And you can see each student and each evaluation as a column, and you can take a look and see, what the status of their various evaluations are. If you want to view an individual student's evaluation, you're just going to click on that green dot for one that's been submitted, and we can take a look and see, what has this educator said about this student? What is his evaluation like? All right, so here you can see all this educator's answers to all these questions. If you do have a dot here that's showing up as gold rather than green, that means that the educator has saved it but not submitted it. So you might check on those, click on through and see, has the educator answered all of the questions? If so, maybe the educator was done, but just, at the very bottom here, clicked save instead of submit. That does happen sometimes. You might check with them if they have already answered all the questions. But you can see this educator, only answered some questions at the top. They probably started working on it, got interrupted, and just saved, and they're going to come back later, which is totally fine. If you do happen to have some educators who are, absolutely will not do electronic evaluations, you still have to send them the paper form. In that case, you could use the system to go ahead and transcribe all of their answers if you still want electronic record of that. So maybe if you know Jamal's educator here has decided they don't like the electronic version, we can go ahead and click on that red dot for the final and go ahead and fill it out. Take our paper copy and say, okay, this is what this educator gave him for these questions, and then he typed some comments here and we could type those in and so on, and then scroll all the way down and submit, and then we would still have our records here showing what the results of that evaluation had been.